So today we're going to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We're now in episode 57 of the series, and in the last episode we saw like a war happen over here in northern South America, with the Suriname country getting heavily nerfed and the country of Trinidad and Venezuela getting independence, and this Para country getting its independence, and Colombia gets bigger. Hooray. And we also saw like some stuff down here with like this thing from a bob, and like this union thing. Was it this last episode? It might be episode 55, but I'm too lazy to just recap this stuff. And also this mess is happening over here in Asia, so yeah, let's get started. So first off, we're gonna see Germany making a move. Now, I would say that they invade the Dutch, but the Dutch, just why? So instead, I'm gonna make them invade Prussia, because why not? So, Germany send their, like, troops and stuff across the narrow corridor that they have over here. Whoa. And, this isn't working out very well for Prussia here, as the Germans capture this city and this one now getting narrowly close to the capital of Prussia. But then Prussia signed a deal with a country very close to them. Basically, they join Poland. They're already thinking about this, but this just made them prove that, like, okay, yeah, we need to join this to survive. And Germany is like, wait, what? No, are you serious? And like, yeah. So now German forces are unexpectedly pushed back by Polish troops. Oops. And now Polish troops are going to enter on over here, pushing into German territories, which they hadn't expected an invasion from. And because of that, they managed to swiftly capture this major city and this one, and they do manage to cut off the German corridor or from behind, which now leaves this front cooked, as now this front completely falls over. And the German military surrenders on over here. And when the German capital is captured, the Polish march on in, and Germany ain't looking so hot. Now, Germany is going to like form counteroffensives and stuff, but like this war is already lost for them. Well, Germany is just going to agree to a peace treaty and hope they don't lose so much land. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's take a look at this peace treaty. And in this peace treaty, Germany is going to lose a lot of their recently gained lands, as they basically have to give half of their country over to the Polish. And now we have a big and nice girthy Poland. We all love that. I decided to give Poland a bit more provinces because that border just looks so bad. And if you're wondering why Poland got so much land, it's because they were petty with the Germans. And yeah, Poland, the old Polish country here, and Germany, they got personal beef. Yeah. So this was just a lot of get back. Now we have a nice, large, big Polish country. Who doesn't love that? The Germans. But who cares about the Germans? Woohoo! And next up, we are actually going to be moving on over to Wales, as they're still trying to figure out what the hell happened over here with the nuke getting stolen and stuff. So some of the government decide to will try to look further into this, but they don't find any clues of who could have stolen the nuke. So lots of the the like government officials want to just let it go, or someone to keep looking deeper and really find out who really stole the nuke. And this just is starting to cause some division within the government, as lots of the officials want to investigate further to find any possible clues, while a lot of the government just want to let it go and let bygones be bygones and just continue making the nuke like they can replace it easily. And a lot of the government don't agree with that. And when you have a lot of disagreement within your government, bad things happen. Bad things happen. Now let's come back to this later, as now we gotta take a trip on over to Asia to continue the Manchurian Civil War. Now over here, the Manchurians are want to specifically like focused on this rebellion because they do not like the idea of working with the Indians for some reason. Can't tell you why. They just really just do not want this rebellion to come to fruition at any costs. And they're also gonna work to push back the Japanese rebellion to have the capital breathe some fresh air, since it was getting a bit tight over there. And they take out a lot of the core areas of the rebellion, pushing a lot of the Japanese rebellion to the side. They do try to do some work on the terrorists, but they're very united, and so that's not going to work. So they're like, you know what, let's try these guys. Bad idea. Meanwhile, the terrorist organization is going to make lots of movements into the Chinese rebellion and separate it into two while invading into the Manchurian and regional government and capturing this major city, and while cutting off a big chunk of the Manchurian rebellion. And man, the original Manchurian government, for some reason they look like pi, like the symbol. That's kind of funny. And eventually the Chinese rebellion is gonna work and take out the original Manchurian government over here and starting up a counter-offensive with the terrorist organization to try and reconnect. Now over to the Japanese rebellion, and these guys are going to specifically push on into the Chinese rebellion and really doing some damage over to this rebellion, and working with the terrorist organization, they managed to wipe out the Chinese rebellion over here, and now the Chinese is down here like poop. And now the Indian rebellion is actually going to do something and start up a counter-offensive over here in the south, and actually you do damage to the OG Manchurian country, and then the terrorists get involved, and ouchie, that's a big ouchie. But now let's move away from the Manchurian rebellion and onwards to. Oh, and by the way, I want to bring up something really quick about the German-Polish War. Germany attacked Prussia first, Poland just backed them up, so Germany was the aggressor, so again, the square lines wasn't activated. And second of all, some of the German nukes were stationed over here, so yeah. Germany goes from 3 nukes to 1 nuke with Poland now having 2, and that they can now develop their own nuclear technology. Germany's like, oh, and he's like, you freaking idiots! Oh my god! So India's gonna go over to Poland. It's like, hey, can you maybe give us back those nukes, please? Thanks. And how does Poland respond? Well, they respond like this, and this just amplifies India's anger with Germany. And like, you know what? since you are so irresponsible with nukes that you go to war with countries just so you can expand your territory, we're pulling the nuke out of you, bub. And Jerry's like, nah, come on, please, come on, please. Like, no. You've proven yourself to not be responsible with nukes. So yeah, W India. Okay, now, moving on from this fiasco over here, we're gonna go back to the Wales situation. As, their growing instability is kind of bad. And this is starting to get bad. So that's a point that they're gonna go from a lime stability to an orange stability, which means things are getting bad over here. Ignore this. This is outdated. I haven't updated that yet, but yikes-a-roos. And this is now getting to the point where civil war is possible. So now, with this growing instability in the government, Scottish separatist groups are now growing more and more popular. And Welsh separatist groups are also growing popular, because this is kind of like a union. Like Scotland collapsed after World War One, and they had like a treaty that if one collapsed, the other one would unite with them. And that's kind of what happened. I did explain that. So yeah, it's gonna get to a point where yeah, Wales is might gonna go bye-bye. And now the Scottish rebellion starts as multiple government officials will spread their allegiance to this rebellion. And this rebellion gets a lot of support in the north and manages to consolidate a lot of their forces over here, taking full control over the used to be Scottish territories, and are now pushing into the territories they used to own a long time ago. And now they make a landing on the Isle of Man, and Wales is panicking a bit because in the deal they signed, it never said anything about breaking away once they've recovered. So Scotland can legally do this, and Wales can't do anything about it. Like, sure, Wales might just push back a bit, but that's about it. As they know they can't just ignore this, so they are going to let the Scottish rebellion win over. But before that happens, and this front gets worse, as the Isle of Wight is captured, and yeah, it just gets to a point where you gotta sign the deal. So yeah, Wales signs the deal, which means that Scotland is now coming back. Let's see how this treaty goes. And in this peace treaty, Scotland is back, and they got all of their former lands back. And some insider groups in Wales are wondering, maybe we could break away at some point, but that's not very likely, as Wales was like, we're just doing this, so now we can just go and investigate this whole nuke business. And speaking of nukes, let's go back to those real quick. And the nukes are split evenly amongst the two. So, Wales gets 2 nukes, and Scotland gets 2 nukes. Pretty simple at that. And Ireland's like, yo, the gang's back together. But yeah, that'll do it for today's episode of What If Civilization Started Over. Please leave a like and subscribe, smash the notification bell, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.